Hi there folks, I'm GTDae, the Average Joe Gamer, and welcome back to my second week in review show. This last week was quite interesting for both me personally and Star Citizen. First off, I was approached by an indie developer to review a copy of their game, Frontier Pilot Simulator. It is a game with similarities to Elite Dangerous and Euro Truck Simulator. It is in early access, and as with Star Citizen, still a work in progress. I had quite a few issues with the game, and I do believe that they will address it. I will keep an eye on this one, as it was the first time I was asked to review a game, and because of that I will have a soft spot for it. You can find a link to my video in the description below, along with the link to the Steam page for Frontier Pilot Simulator. On a side note, I would like to add that it was not a paid review, so I could review it fairly. They did not make any suggestions as to what they would like to hear in the review or anything like that, but they did provide me with a Steam key. As for Star Citizen, the Noobifier released his video footage of the interview with Benoit from Turbulent about the development of Spectrum and the Star Citizen website. There was some interesting bits in there, especially about the Voyager Direct refunds. I highly recommend that you take a look at both videos that the Noobifier released on the interview. Next, BoredGamer released his interview with Erin Roberts from Foundry 42 in the UK. Again, BoredGamer released an uncut interview along with an overview video which had more interesting bits about the future of Star Citizen's development. I will have links to all these videos in the description, some real quality community made content. Other than that, I went about downloading some older games that I will be playing while I wait for Star Citizen 3.1 to be released to a wider PTU. So let's move on to the Star Citizen weekly shows. First, calling all devs. Outposts in the game will always remain small buildings, but in settlements and cities will not be as limited. I believe that player outposts on land claims will be limited to what the Pioneer can build on the claim. I can't imagine that we will be able to build sprawling cities on our own land, but that won't stop orgs from buying up large plots of land on planets or moons and build as much as they can on it. That will be very interesting to see when those mechanics are introduced into the game. Interdiction gameplay is divided into two categories: preventing players from initiating quantum travel and pulling players out of quantum travel. When a target initiates his quantum drive, you can slow him down by damaging the quantum bubble he creates. Specialized weapons will slow down the process more significantly, but any damage to the quantum bubble will slow down the process. Pulling someone from quantum is done with specialized equipment. This equipment will create a bubble, and any ships in quantum that fly through this bubble will be forced out of QT. I imagine this bubble will function more or less in the same way as EMP currently works in game. The repair mechanics that is planned for 3.3 in Q3 this year will be a manual repair mechanic. Players will physically carry the repair tool and repair consumables to repair a ship, presumably an EVA. There is no dedicated repair ship on the roadmap for 3.3. I really enjoyed this episode of Calling All Devs because there were some really good questions asked, and I hope to see more relevant questions like this over the coming episodes. Next, let's have a quick look at Around the Verse. During this week's ATV, Jared was back with another installment of Shipshape, where the Aegis Reclaimer took center stage. They explained some of the challenges they had to overcome during the development of the Reclaimer, like the spring-loaded landing gear and the big elevator going down to the outside of the ship. There was also a brief explanation of what the crew will be doing in the ship. There are seats for the pilot, 2 tractor beam operation units, 2 drone control station, a weapon turret, and various other control consoles. Unfortunately, the salvage mechanic and the big salvage arm will not yet be operational in 3.1, but at least we have a new biggest ship in the game. I truly can't wait to explore the Reclaimer in 3.1, so I'm really itching to get my hands on it in the wider PTU release that we will hopefully see this week. Next, Jared briefly discussed the progress made on the ever-popular Banu Merchantman. This already iconic ship moved from the design review phase to interior concept design stage of the development. The BMM is one of the most asked about ships along with the Carrack, and the owners of the BMM will be very excited to hear about any form of progress made. Next, the F8 Lightning made its first appearance on the Shipshape pipeline. At the moment, it's in greenbox surfacing stage, and some adjustments had to be made to the cockpit and the front wings based on Chris Roberts' feedback. Also debuting on the pipeline is the Vanduul blade. There's been some work done on the cockpit to make it more comfortable for both human and Vanduul models, and an interior review was done to make it suitably aggressive as a Vanduul ship. To conclude Shipshape, we had the Tumbril Cyclone. The Cyclone is in flight prep phase, and we can expect to get our hands on it in 3.1. The Cyclone was designed to be a fast terrain-hugging vehicle to blast around the new planetary surfaces. It is meant to be a fast deployment vehicle to rush into combat scenarios, do its job, and get out quickly, much like the Humvee in the US Army. There are 5 variants. Cyclone Base, a flatbed cargo variant. The Cyclone TR, a version with a rear-mounted turret. The AA, which is an anti-aircraft version. The RN, which is a scanner recon version. And finally the RC, which is a racing variant. The Cyclone is twice as fast as the Ursa rover, but has a smaller turning circle than the rover because both the front and the rear wheels are used for steering. The Cyclone had a very short turnaround time from concept to in-engine because CIG wanted it in-game as soon as possible. Just a few weeks after concept, it was already an engine, which is very impressive. As of the recording of this ATV, it was in flight prep phase with sound, VFX and UI finalizing and polishing the look and feel of the Cyclone. The Cyclone is suited to the planetary surface explorer, the player who wants to experience the planetary surface rather than just skimming over it in a ship. I can't wait to try it out in game. Now let's have a quick look at Reverse the Verse. In this episode of Reverse the Verse, Jared had with him in studio Jim Martin to discuss some of the earliest ship designs in Star Citizen. As a bit of a creative myself, I was really interested in the discussion, but also it was really cool to hear that Jim worked on some of the really iconic sci-fi favorites like Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Starship Troopers. Jim was the designer of 8 of the ships from Star Citizen, going back to even before the crowdfunding campaign was launched in 2012. The first ship he designed was the Vandal Scythe for the original Kickstarter pitch video. He also designed the Freelancer, the Cutlass, the Caterpillar, the Herald, the Hull series, the Endeavour and the Buccaneer. It is safe to say that Jim was the guy who made me most excited for the game, having designed the bulk of Drake's ships and 2 of my absolute favourite ships, the Cutlass and the Caterpillar. There was not much new information in this week's RTV, but for sure one of the more interesting shows, showing the iterative nature of concept design. This took me back to my college years where we had to do many versions of one design until we got the design. That covers RTV for last week. Let's move on to the Vulcan and drones FAQ. The drones on the Vulcan has a control range much like remote control drones in the real world. When the drones are going too far away from the ship, you will see a warning, and if you keep going, they will lose connection. But when you fly back into range with your drones, they will automatically reconnect with the Vulcan and respond to commands. The Vulcan has exterior fuel tanks for refueling. With a full fuel tank, the Vulcan can refuel 10 small fuel tanks, 3 medium fuel tanks, and around half a large fuel tank, which could take multiple trips for your drones to do. Expect the drones to go back and forth a lot to do the work they are designated for. They have arms to carry whatever they need to repair or rearm the designated ship. In the future, they may be able to exchange weapons for other ships, which may make them even more versatile as mobile armories. The Vulcan has limited cargo space that will be used to store ammunition, repair compounds, or even weapons to fit on other ships. The drones may also be able to drain fuel from derelict ships. The Vulcan is not meant to be a full repair service, rearm, or refuel ship. It is basically meant to help a ship get back to civilization safely, much like the AA or AAA, but is not a tow truck either. The drones will not be strong enough to pull or tow other ships. The AMX-1 repair bots that is in the roadmap for 3.3 are different to the drones on the Vulcan and are probably a bit smaller. The drones are controlled via 2 control stations in the ship by a player or NPC. We will control the drones through the control panels via render to texture, much in the same way as we control our ships in-game. Because there are only 2 control consoles in the Vulcan, only 2 drones can be operated at any one time. So that's it for the weekly Star Citizen content. I would just like to remind you all that this is not all the news, but the news that I found the most interesting. Over the coming week, I will be waiting for my PTU invite to show up in my email. Until then, I will play Half-Life, one of my all-time favorite games, and I will make an episodic Let's Play series through all the levels of the game. Keep an eye on the channel for that. Of course, I will keep an eye out for some more Star Citizen news from all the weekly shows as well as forums and newsletters. If we do get the wider PTU release, I will do a video previewing 3.1 and what is new from the patch notes in the game. Lastly, I'm still looking for a name for a news show like this, and I'm open for some suggestions. I have some of my own ideas, but I would like to hear from you, the viewers, what you think would be a cool name. Thank you for watching the second edition of my Week in Review show, and I hope there was some content that you enjoyed. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up below and a thumbs down if you didn't. Comment below on what you liked and what you disliked, and I will make an effort to improve. In the video description you will find links to all the content I've covered today. While you are down there, check out my social media links and follow me there for more content. I would also massively appreciate it if you would support me on Patreon, and thanks to those of you who are already doing that, you are my absolute heroes. Another way of supporting me is by visiting my merch store at designbyhumans.com. I'm GTDae, the Average Joe Gamer, and once again thanks for watching, stay awesome, and I will see you in the next one.